to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. It's the best part of Dorothy's dream.
Join us today on Around Kansas for a look at Labette County. And then we learn the story behind the big well in Greensburg. Next, we learn about John C. Fremont, the Great Pathfinder who mapped the Oregon Trail, and his wife, Jessie. Our weekly From the Land of Kansas business, and then we'll end today with the poem Code of the West by Ron Wilson. Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers. Around Kansas, brought to you by Tarwater Farm and Home. Come on by, we'll treat you like family.
Welcome back to Around Kansas. I'm Deb Beisel. I was attending a Tourism Alliance meeting the other day when I picked up this brochure on Labette County. You know, and it's pretty interesting. Jim Zaleski, who is the head of the Department of Tourism down in Labette County, really put together a nice package when he put this together, and reminds people that if you're traveling through Labette County, that they actually have a 24-hour visitor information kiosk that's located at the offices at 506 East Main Street there in Parsons. How cool is that? You know, Labette County was formed in 1867 after a treaty with the Osages for 20, 30 years there. Most of the residents in Labette County were the Osage Indians or the European Americans who married into the Osage tribe. So there were a few trappers there too, and it may have been one of those trappers that actually gave Labette County its name. You know, one of the stories is that there was a beast, Labette, a big black beast that the folks saw, and that's where the name Labette came from, and that's where the name of the creek came from. Of course, then there's another story that says there was just a trapper named Labette, and that's where they picked up the name. It's got a great history. You know, the Bloody Benders, we've talked about their story, I believe, before on Bleeding Kansas. And the Bender family operated their inn on a lonely road between Parsons and Cherryvale. And between 1871 and 1873, the family, consisting of Pa, Ma, a son and a daughter, Kate, beautiful Katie, murdered and robbed some 21 lone travelers who stopped for the inn's hospitality, burying them in their apple orchard behind their home. Although the bodies were discovered and a posse pursued them, the Benders, of course, were never found. They've just faded on into Western history. Now, during World War II and continuing through the Korean and Vietnam conflicts, the Kansas Army Ammunition Plant provided tons of mortars, missiles, grenades, and other munitions on a 13,951 acre site southeast of Parsons. At its peak, the plant employed more than 7,000 people. When it was closed for good in 2008, more than 6,000 acres were transferred to the Great Plains Development Authority for development as an industrial park. The final property transfer took place in 2012. Wow, what a great place for an industrial park. So lots going on in Labette. You know, you've got all kinds of recreation. I bet if you call down there and visit with the folks, they'd send you one of these in the mail. Beautiful, right down next to the Oklahoma border. Lots of history, lots of nice folks. Tell them we sent you. We'll be right back.
When your living depends on agriculture, you can depend on KFRM 550 AM. If you're in the southwest three-fourths of Kansas or the northern half of Oklahoma, catch us at 550 AM on the radio dial. But if that isn't you, listen on your cell phone at TuneIn Radio or on your computer at KFRM.com. We promise to keep you informed, entertained, and company as you go through your day. KFRM 550 AM, the voice of the plains, we would like to join your management team.
This hog is Hanover hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Tallgrass Commodities offers producers bulk commodities at a reasonable price with reliable service throughout the whole Midwest. To find out more about Tallgrass Commodities, visit tallgrass.us or call 785-494-8484. Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, just a short drive down the Yellow Brick Road. Good morning, I'm Frank Chafin and this is Around Kansas. And today I'm fascinated by a big hole in the ground, so I did a little homework. I even wrote it out. Anyway, the big hole in the ground is called the Big Well, and it is big, and it's in Greensburg, Kansas. So let me tell you a little bit about the history of this big well. It was an amazing feat of engineering in the 19th century. It was started in 1887, and it was finished in 1888. And it ended up 109 feet deep and 32 feet wide. Now get that in your mind if you will. Think about this. If you've ever been to the state capitol in Topeka, go look up in the dome and you'll get kind of an idea of, what this thing might look like looking down. Anyway, there is a spiral staircase today that you can walk down and down and down into the cavern of this big well in Greensburg, Kansas. It was opened again to tourists in 2012. If you'll recall, in 2007, the town of Greensburg was 95% leveled by a tornado. Okay, let's begin the story in 1887. The city granted a franchise for a waterworks. It was to cost approximately $45,000. Now, in 1887, that was a big sum of money. It was a good investment since this produced water up until 1932. Remember, this was a hand-dug well. Okay, this is the interesting part because workers began working at sunup and they got paid at sundown. So they worked all day and the pay, 50 cents to $1 a day. Again, in 1887, those were pretty good wages. Crews of 12 to 15, there were farmers, cowboys, transients, worked all day using picks, shovels, half barrels, pulleys, and ropes to dig this huge well, okay? Now, stones used for the walls in the well were brought in by wagons from the Medicine River, which is about 12 miles south of Greensburg. The dirt from the well excavation was again hauled away by those same wagons. Now, what did they do with that dirt? Well, the wagon beds were slatted, and they could open the slats and slowly let the dirt out, and guess what? They built streets and roads to the well. Waste not, want not, back in 1887. Okay, a wide shaft was cribbed and braced every 12 feet with planks, and in other words, it looked like a big wagon wheel. There were braces around the side and with spokes. And the workers shoveled dirt into barrels, and those were hoisted to the surface. As stone was put in place in the walls then, the braces were removed. Perforated pipes then were driven into the bottom of the well in gravel, and this helped the water flow and of course also the purity of the water. This was done to increase the flow of the water in the well basin. Now again, it was completed in 1888, and again it ended up 109 feet deep and 32 feet in circumference. The well was covered, but then reopened as an historic attraction in 1937. In 1972, it was designated a national museum. Over 3 million people have descended the metal stairway into the depths of the cavern in this well, the world's largest hand-dug well. In 2008, it was also designated one of the 8 wonders of Kansas. Now again, in 2007, an F5 tornado destroyed 95% of Greensburg. The town was just gone. And of course, it took the visitor center too. But the people of Greensburg said, we're not going away, we're going to rebuild. And in 2012, the visitor center was opened again, and today you can go visit the well, and you can also visit Greensburg, which we will do in other programs here on Around Kansas. It's a remarkable recovery that this town had. So anyway, for now, this is Frank Chafin saying, see you somewhere around Kansas.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
American innovation is being driven in places you might not expect by people like Brent Hayek, an Oklahoma family farmer, who recently set a world land speed record in a Ford Super Duty pickup truck powered by renewable B20 biodiesel. Advanced performance is here, now, putting America on the fast track to more jobs and energy independence. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
I'm Dr. Frank Lyons, a physician here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. As one of the only standalone stem cell centers in the U.S., we use your stem cells as therapy for arthritis and some autoimmune diseases.
I'm Dr. Andrew Poe, here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Utilizing the latest technology under strict protocols, we're able to harvest your stem cells from your own fat to treat a variety of medical conditions. The best part about it is, it's a same-day surgical procedure and requires no general anesthesia.
Around Kansas, brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook, or visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Welcome back to Around Kansas. I've started teaching a new class for Osher. I teach Osher classes out of their KU office, and the newest class I have is called The Soldier State. So it's just biographies of interesting soldiers with a Kansas connection, either those who were born here or served here or have some considerable impact on the state. So one of the soldiers that you may not be really familiar with is John C. Fremont. If you'd been living in the 19th century, I guarantee you would have known exactly who Fremont was. Fremont was called the Great Pathfinder, and he mapped the Oregon Trail. He led at least 4 significant expeditions to explore the West, and while he didn't, quote, discover those, he is the one who paved the path for those to follow in many ways. Now, Fremont happened to be the son-in-law of Thomas Hart Benton. Thomas Hart Benton was the really powerful and influential senator from Missouri. And one of Fremont's expeditions to the West had a lot to do with his father-in-law. Thomas Hart Benton was really intent on manifest destiny, that idea that America should and would conquer the entire continent. And fortunately for him, it was his son-in-law who'd actually claimed California, which was of course owned by the Spanish, during the Mexican War. It was Fremont who went out in 1846 and raised the flag in a really interesting conquering. They, instead of, there were a few skirmishes or battles, but, when he raised the flag, there was one big party. So it was a not real hostile takeover of California. But what he had done by grabbing California was give America a hold on both coasts. So in 1848, one of Benton's expeditions is to find a railroad route through the middle of the country and to the west. And the railroads were huge. The middle of the 19th century, the railroads ruled everything. Ironically, the very night that Topeka was founded, December 5th, 1854, Thomas Hart Benton, that influential Missouri senator, was making a speech in Maryland bragging about the lands of Kansas and how there was going to be a railroad through the territory of Kansas and urging people to go out to Kansas and settle. He got first-hand accounts from Kansas from his son-in-law, who was in and out of the state almost constantly. And in 1853, Fremont was actually camped in Topeka, or what would become Topeka. Topeka didn't even exist then. But he's camped near Burnett's Mound, which is a local landmark here. And Julia Stinson, one of the locals, she was actually a Shawnee Indian who was able to live here before the territory opened. He actually went riding up Burnett's Mound with Julia Stinson, and she left a wonderful account of their picking wildflowers. He picked wild roses and threw those into her lap. That's in one of the Shawnee County Historical Society bulletins. If you go to the Shawnee County Historical Society, you can find that. I believe it is the Before Kansas Bled, so it's the territory before it actually became the territory. We'll be right back.
From the Land of Kansas is a trademark program that helps Kansas businesses grow, produce, process, or manufacture Kansas products. Let's meet Grillside Barbecue in Overland Park. Grillside Barbecue started as a homemade sauce for family gatherings, but when the demand became overwhelming, it was time to go public. After years of researching and testing many different flavors of Kansas City barbecue, Grillside was born. All natural, gluten-free, and with no high fructose corn syrup, this award-winning barbecue sauce is great on meats, vegetables, and pretty much anything that needs some zing. Grillside offers 3 flavors, including Suburban Sweet, a sauce that's tasty, well-balanced, and sweet enough for the kids, Downtown Heat, a sweet smoky sauce with just a bit of heat, and Hometown Hot, a sauce that pairs up 7 different peppers for a real punch. For mouth-watering recipes and to find a retailer near you, visit grillsidebarbecue.com.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
Around Kansas, brought to you by the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff, Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
You know, getting back to our friend John C. Fremont. Fremont was the first Republican candidate for president in 1856. At that time, the Republican Party was brand new, and it was the abolitionist party. Kind of the radicals and the liberals of their day, if you will. So John C. Fremont was picked as the first Republican candidate, and he was soundly beat by President Buchanan, James Buchanan of Pennsylvania, who was a Democrat and comes from that long established conservative party. So Fremont had a tremendous impact politically. Now, his father-in-law, while very prominent, the Missouri Senator Thomas Hart Benton, that was one perk of marrying Jessie Benton. Beautiful, beautiful girl. The other perk was that Jessie was brilliant. These guys were the original power couple long before Bill and Hillary or any of the power couples we think of today. It was John C. Fremont and his gorgeous wife, Jessie. In fact, Fremont's journals that he kept while he was exploring the West were turned into reports. He had to file official reports of his expeditions. When John C. Fremont got back to Washington after his travels, and he has to file these official reports of what he had seen and done in the American West, the words just wouldn't come. He had a really bad case of writer's block. So his gorgeous wife, Jessie, said, you know what, just dictate to me and I'll write it. And that's what he did. So Jessie Fremont took these facts and figures that he had reported, and she turned them into beautiful prose. So far beyond his exploration, his reports of those explorations had a profound impact on westward movement. And of course that westward movement came through Kansas at one time or another, with the Oregon Trail, the Santa Fe Trail, the movements west, and then ultimately, of course, the settling of Kansas itself. His reports had a profound impact on people picking up from the east and heading toward the west. So give a few minutes of your day to look up John C. Fremont. There's some great documentary footage on him. Or you can visit Fort Leavenworth, and the Frontier Army Museum has a great exhibit on him with the some of the surveyor's equipment that he would have used. Just a really nice exhibit, and you can go on post and just tell them that you got to have your ID. Tell them that you're headed for the Frontier Army Museum, and check out Fremont and all the other interesting people there. We'll be right back.
This is the fast track to more jobs and America's energy independence. Advanced performance is here now. Biodiesel, America's advanced biofuel.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. Around Kansas, brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. Go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Howdy folks, I'm Ron Wilson, Poet Laureate. In the days of the Old West, the cowboys lived by a code, an unspoken set of rules that we called the Code of the West. Cowboys live by what we call the Code of the West, which is drawn from America's westward quest. This code isn't written down in a book of laws, but is taken from the daily life he draws. These are values which the cowboy strives to live by in the many ways that they might apply. For example, it means taking pride in our work and finishing a job we will not shirk. It means being tough but fair, to always keep our word, and to be a good steward of the land and the herd. It means having the courage to take a stand and being loyal when we ride for the brand, to take good care of our tack and our steeds, and to put our animals' care first above our own needs, to be independent and not run from a fight, in short, to always stand up for what's right. Our nation would be better, I will attest, if we all would follow the Code of the West. Happy trails.
Closed captioning brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff Progress, powered by Kansas farmers.
Welcome to Kansas, gateway to Oz. Under the rainbow, this is where it was. Hollyhocks and red ripe tomatoes, hand-churned homemade ice cream. Let me tell you, Kansas is more than tornadoes. We're the best part of Dorothy's dream.